So there's a migrant crisis happening right now. There's a bridge in Del Rio where Haitians have fled Haiti for a number of reasons. There was an earthquake, and there's also the President Moise was just assassinated not too long ago. So they're all fleeing, and they were coming by boat, but then the Biden administration cracked down on those boats. And so then now they started going the other way. They go to Mexico and then up through Mexico. And now there's, at the time of this segment that you're about to see, when it was recorded, it was like 9,500 or 10,000 migrants who were there. Now it's over 15,000 migrants who are under the bridge. So let's watch, and then we'll come back and discuss it further.
There's a border emergency in Texas tonight as more than 9,500 migrants who have arrived in the past 48 hours are living under a bridge, and thousands more are expected in the coming days. The migrants, many of them Haitian, are camped out in Del Rio, Texas, fleeing a country that's been torn apart by a coup and a major earthquake, of course, in recent weeks. Rosa Flores is out front in Del Rio, and she has just returned from an exclusive aerial tour of the area. Rosa, look, you're talking about nearly 10,000 migrants, thousands more still expected in a matter of 48 hours here. Border officials are calling this situation unprecedented. What did you see?
You know, Aaron, the visuals are shocking because what I was able to see were three different paths of migrants and the free flow of migrants into the United States in a very small area, which is just behind me, actually. What you see are the migrants coming in. They take a dirt path by the hundreds, by the way, is what we're seeing, only to make their way to a bridge that already has more than 9,500 people already waiting. And if you look closely at these images, you'll see that there are some resources there. You see porta potties for them. These are women, children, infants, men. And here's the other concern. So according to officials, there's a camp that is being started, that is being set up, a makeshift camp. And we were able to see that from the air. You can see that people are using blankets, plastic, branches to try to create shelter for themselves. It's very, very hot here, and you'll see that they're starting to live in this camp. You can see on the fence that people are starting to dry their clothes on the fence that's by this camp. Now, according to the mayor, there's more than 9,500 people on the bridge right now. President Biden has not called the mayor, according to the mayor. He has not received a call from Secretary Mayorkas, but they are calling out to the federal government to send more resources. Now, DHS says that they are sending more resources, that they're providing food and water for the people that are under the bridge. But Aaron, this is what the waiting room at immigration is looking like right now in the gates of America. Thousands of people waiting to be processed. This is not a processing facility. This is a waiting area. And so that's exactly what we're seeing. And now what we're going to be seeing in the next few days is this makeshift camp. And according to the mayor, processing these 9,500 people, Aaron, could take up to 2 weeks. That's the backup that they're dealing with here. That's why they're asking for more resources.
Right.
I'll go out on a limb here and say it's going to be more than 2 weeks for sure. That's a kind estimate. So, all right, let's dive into this. First point I want to make, this actually isn't for me. I was talking about this with Crystal, and she pointed out everybody's a hypocrite on this. Now, here's why. Democrats would scream bloody murder if this was happening under Trump. And we know that because of all the border facilities that they were calling concentration camps and the kids in cages. And yeah, it is true that Obama and Biden helped build those cages, but they didn't really say anything when it was under them. So I do think it's fair to say Democrats would absolutely be losing their mind, and they would be down there giving this incredible scrutiny and blaming every bit of it on Trump. Now you can determine whether or not you think that's fair, whether it was fair under Trump and whether it would be fair under Biden, but we all know the reaction would be massively different in Democratic circles if it was Trump as president. But Republicans would welcome these people with open arms if it was Cuba, if it was a different island nation. And we all know that because this is one where over time Republicans have been remarkably consistent. The idea is, hey, if people are fleeing Cuba, they hate communism, therefore they hate left-wing ideas. Therefore, they embrace right-wing ideas. Therefore, it'd be great to have them in the country because they would vote for Republicans. In fact, there was a policy, I don't know if this is still the case, it might still be the case, but if you're from Cuba and you escape and you get to the U.S., the second you step foot on U.S. soil, you're safe, you're good, you're here, and we're happy to have you here. That's the way Republicans feel when they think, oh, these immigrants are going to benefit us and our party. So everybody's a hypocrite because, of course, the right is going to scream bloody murder over this and say deport them all. Now, what's actually happening? What's actually happening is fascinating, and I didn't see much talk about this, but Biden is citing emergency statutes under Title 42, which, by the way, was passed by Trump. And effectively, he's saying, since it's a pandemic, forget the normal process and procedure you're supposed to go through. We're just going to deport everybody. So as soon as they come in, pick them up, turn them around, get them out of here. That's what Joe Biden is doing. Now, here's another area. Like, if Republicans knew about that or were being honest about that, would they then give Biden credit? Because that is what they prefer. That is what they support. They would support the idea of, yeah, okay, they get here, turn them right back around, send them out. Well, that's what Biden is doing. So he's copying a Trump policy. Now, again, it's an area where if Democrats knew and saw that Biden was doing that, would they say, whoa, you can't do that. That's cruel. That's, going around the proper process. So there is no due process for these people. What are you doing? I'm not okay with that. That's way too aggressive. That's not in alignment with my values. But no, I haven't heard Republicans say anything along the lines of giving him credit, and I haven't heard Democrats attacking him for that. Now, apparently, the courts struck down the Title 42 thing, which was passed under Trump, which Biden is using to deport them all, but it doesn't go into effect for a couple weeks, so Biden is just going to keep deporting them until, he can't do it anymore. So, listen, fact of the matter is, I could pick apart the hypocrisy all day, every day. The hypocrisy of the Republicans, the hypocrisy of the Democrats. But really, at the end of the day, that commentary isn't worth much other than to state the obvious. The real question is, what the hell are we supposed to do about this? What are we supposed to do about this? And this is where you're going to get incredibly divergent opinions from everybody. Not just right versus left, but left versus left. And I'll be the first to say, I only have one answer to this, and the rest, your guess is as good as mine. The one answer I know for sure is you absolutely, positively, 100% without a doubt need to devote way more resources. We don't have nearly enough immigration judges. We don't have nearly enough processing facilities. Now, I don't know, some on the left might call those concentration camps if you build some facilities, but them people being in a facility is way better than them being under a bridge. I think we can all agree to that, right? So the one thing I know for sure is gotta send more resources. Gotta send more resources. Gotta speed up the process. You have to speed up the process. You can't have it take, so long to handle basic things, thereby leaving people under the bridge for probably weeks, maybe months. So that's the only answer I have is you need to devote way more resources. You need to hire way more immigration judges. You need way more people at the border to handle this. Now, outside of that, my instinct is, you have the process go fast, but you be smart about it. And so that means people are claiming refugee status. You have to hear them out. You got to hear them out. You got to hear what the argument is. Now, ultimately, are we going to let in 100% of the people? I certainly wouldn't let in 100% of the people. I think there are probably plenty of people who, it's a stretch of an argument as to whether or not they can be here or should be there. But am I going to go with the right-wingers and say basically deport everybody? Actually, I should say the right-wingers and Biden who say deport everybody? No, I wouldn't go in that direction either. I think that's way too harsh. I think there are going to be plenty of people. When you have a coup and you have an earthquake and you also have other places with natural disasters, there's one place that was hit with a hurricane twice in one season. If you have these people coming here, a lot of them probably do have legitimate, refugee status, or their case for staying here is perfectly reasonable. And I understand why it's difficult, though. And maybe this is where I differ with some people on the left. But yeah, when you have, in the United States of America, we don't have universal health care. We don't have free college. We don't have high union rates. So we have, basically a war on the middle class. So American citizens aren't being taken care of properly, and they don't have a fair system for them. And you don't want American citizens to feel like, well, somebody just got here 2 seconds ago and they're hopping me in the line and they're getting more benefits and they're getting taken care of more. Now, the fact of the matter is they aren't being taken care of more at all because, most of the social safety net programs don't apply to people who just got here. So it's not true, but you even want to avoid the impression of that, So again, my best answer when I look at this is got to devote way more resources, got to hire more immigration judges, got to have a better process and a faster process. But outside of that, you need to be intelligent and rational and logical in evaluating the case of everybody who's coming here. And some people are going to, pass muster and they're going to be allowed to stay here because they have a legitimate claim to refugee status. And some people it's going to be a stretch of an argument. And with those people, you're going to have to deport them. And so, I think the general sense I get, and maybe this isn't fair, I really don't know, you guys can tell me, but the general sense I get is the answer from the left is usually like, we'll let 100% of them stay here because they all have a legitimate claim to be here and we'll figure it out. Forget about the fact that maybe American citizens aren't even being treated fairly and we're just bringing these people in willy-nilly. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Let's just take care of them because it's the right thing to do. It's the empathetic thing to do. It's the altruistic thing to do. It's the humanitarian thing to do. That's the left-wing answer. The right-wing answer is like, honestly, screw them. Deport 100% of them. We can't even take care of our own citizens. Even though, by the way, there's hypocrisy there too, because Republicans say, we don't even take care of our own citizens. But then when you propose programs to take care of our own citizens, like universal health care, they're like, oh, we're against that. What? So you don't even want to take care of our own citizens. Never mind not wanting to take care of immigrants who just got here. But yeah, the right-wing answer would be like, deport 100% of them. Me, the only answer I have, again, and I know this isn't a sufficient answer, but it's as good as I can come up with, is got to devote more resources, got to have a better process, got to have a faster process, and outside of that, evaluate each case on its own merits and make the most reasonable decision you can make. Maybe that'll manifest as about 50% of them can stay here and 50% of them will be deported. I don't know. Maybe it'll be 70-30 in the direction of being deported. Maybe it'll be 70-30 in the direction of staying. But, I would say you got to go on a case-by-case basis. You got to follow the law, and you have to be both humanitarian and altruistic while also being reasonable and logical and not letting people get away with it if they shouldn't get away with it, not to let them stay if they really don't have a good case to stay. So anyway, that's my grand takeaway on this. But I think probably one of the more important points is again, the point that Crystal made, which I think is correct, which is that we know if this was happening under Trump, Democrats would be screaming bloody murder, but they're largely silent right now. That's for sure. And we know that if it was Cuban refugees, Republicans would say, welcome them all in. And they're saying the opposite since it's Haitian refugees. So there you have it. I don't know how this is going to end, man. I just think people are going to be under that bridge for a long, long time because we don't have nearly enough people to deal with this. We don't have a good enough process to deal with this. And it's a sad state of affairs. By the way, actually, final point is expect a lot more stuff like this in the future. Why? Climate refugees. I mean, it's one thing we're familiar with, war refugees, Afghan civilians are coming here, refugees from war, Taliban taking over, all that stuff. Syria, same thing. So you have refugees from war, just wait until you see climate refugees. And we've talked about this before. Places getting obliterated by hurricanes. That's happening a lot more now. South America as well. You have the Middle East is going to be uninhabitable by either 2050 or 2100. Those people are all going to have to go somewhere. So if there's anything that I could implore on the right to start caring about climate change, you don't want a refugee crisis times 100, do you? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, you could stick your head in the sand and pretend like that's not the case, but you're wrong. It's going to happen. So maybe start caring, even if that's the reason why you start caring about climate change. For the love of God, start caring about climate change because it's going to get ugly, man. There are going to be a zillion more climate refugees. And it's also going to cost a lot of money, all the cleanup from all the natural disasters. It's going to mess up, crops, the food chain. There's going to be wars over water. There's going to be water shortages. So buckle up. It's going to get bad.